Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting smart, fast, about what's actually making noise out there. Today, we are plunging right into the thick of it, what's trending, like right now on the X platform. We're using posts curated from something called daily vibe casting. Our mission, really, is simple. Cut through all that noise. We want to pull out the actual nuggets of insight from these posts. We're talking tech, global stuff, cultural moments, giving you the context, maybe some surprising facts, so you feel totally plugged in.
Exactly. It's not just what's buzzing. We want you to get why it matters. Think of it as a way to sharpen your own thinking about this constant flow of info.
A quick download on the digital vibe. Let's get into it. First up, impossible to ignore. AI. It just keeps exploding. We saw from @Ronchon, the big OpenAI news, Sam Altman announcing the GPT-5 timeline.
Yeah, he said summer 2025. That's huge news.
Huge, because it's soon.
Partly soon, but it also just highlights the incredible speed this field is moving at. The pressure from rivals, it's intense. And interestingly, it sounds like OpenAI is also thinking hard about naming, trying to make their models less confusing for us. More user-focused.
Okay, makes sense. But then, in that same context, Rowanchon also flagged this MIT study, the one published in Time. Said ChatGPT is actually reduced neural connectivity in students, something like from 79 connections down to 42. That sounds bad.
It sounds bad, definitely. It immediately brings up this whole idea of cognitive trade-offs. Like, are these amazing tools making us faster, maybe smarter in some ways, but
dumber in others?
Potentially, yeah. Or at least changing how our brains work fundamentally. It's a really critical question as this tech becomes, part of everything.
But hold on, not everyone's buying that cognitive debt angle.
Yeah.
We saw Iter Intellectus Vittorio calling those claims straight up garbage.
And that pushback is super important. Vittorio makes some strong points. He argues the MIT study measured brain activity while writing the essay, not really capturing long-term learning effects.
Oh, okay. So it's a snapshot, not the whole picture.
Exactly. Plus, he points out lower brain activation doesn't automatically mean something bad is happening. It could actually mean your brain is being more efficient at a task it's getting used to. There's research backing that idea up, too.
So maybe not decline, just adaptation, like learning to use a calculator doesn't wreck your math brain.
Sort of, yeah. Or maybe it does change it, but not necessarily for the worse. It's a really complex debate. Is it decline, or are we just adapting to really powerful new tools? We need more research, frankly.
Okay, shifting gears slightly within AI, how accessible it's becoming is just wild. We saw posts from both at Ish and at Ben Rollin talking about Andrej Karpathy.
Oh, yeah, Karpathy's vibe coding.
Right. Building apps just by, talking to the AI in maybe 30 minutes. It sounds like science fiction.
It almost is. Karpathy sees these large language models, LLMs, as basically a whole new way to create software. Software 3.0, he calls it.
After, regular code and neural nets.
Exactly. And studies are showing LLMs can already beat humans at certain coding tasks. This vibe coding idea, it just massively lowers the barrier. Anyone could potentially build stuff.
Democratizing it, kind of like how computers used to be only for big labs.
Precisely. Think early mainframes versus now. Of course, there are big questions still, like how do you scale these AI-generated apps? How do you maintain code written by a vibe? But the potential is just enormous.
Okay, but then there's the slightly unsettling side. At Google DeepMind showed off Gemini 2.5 Flashlight.
The UI code generation demo.
Yeah, it was writing interface code dynamically on the fly. It looked freaky fast, almost too smooth.
And the reaction online really reflected that. People immediately jumped to comparing it to the Matrix or even wireheading.
Wireheading, like plugging directly into pleasure centers.
Yeah, that sci-fi concept. The point is, this demo, even if it's just UI code, it taps into deeper anxieties about AI creating or manipulating our reality. It raises ethical questions, psychological ones, and the speed it's happening at. We really need to be thinking about the societal impacts, like yesterday.
And sometimes the impact is just pure chaos. Hilarious chaos. Did you see the post from @ChrisBacon?
Oh, the Google Meet prank, yeah.
He jumped on his calls early and just screamed, "We hit the iceberg, the ship is going down, it's the end," then muted himself, just to mess with the AI transcription.
It's brilliant and funny, yes, but it actually highlights a real weak spot. Google Meet's AI note taker, which uses Gemini, apparently has like a 15% error rate in figuring out context.
15%, that seems high.
It is. And other studies show a fair chunk of business AI projects fail because humans deliberately mess with these input or just make errors. So, yeah, a simple prank can show how easily even sophisticated AI gets tripped up.
Okay, let's pivot slightly. From AI vulnerabilities to, well, broader digital security, this is kind of alarming. We saw posts from at WatcherGuru and also at Unusual Whales about this massive reported data leak.
Oh.
16 billion login credentials from Apple, Google, Facebook.
Yeah, that number catches your eye immediately.
Right. At Unusual Whales even posted a meme like, but there aren't 16 billion people on Earth.
Which is true, but misses the point slightly. That huge number usually reflects multiple accounts per person getting compromised over time, maybe from different breaches all bundled together.
Okay. Still massive, though.
Oh, absolutely massive. And data breaches themselves are just soaring up, something like 74% since 2019. It's often not just, someone having a weak password. It's unpatched systems, sometimes insider threats. Big systemic issues. Google's already advising password changes, by the way.
Good heads up. But WatcherGuru's post also mentioned a sort of geopolitical angle, something about Iran.
Right. The timing. This leak surfaces just before warnings of a potential Iranian cyber attack. It makes you think about history, like, remember Stuxnet back in 2010?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
That was the worm that hit Iranian nuclear facilities, right?
Exactly. Super sophisticated, state-sponsored cyber warfare. So when you see a massive leak like this near geopolitical tension points, it raises the specter of potential escalation in cyber conflict between nations.
So the big question is, what does that mean for just us, our regular online safety, and national security?
It means vigilance is key. Both personally strong passwords, two-factor authentication, being wary, and nationally. Cyber defense is a huge ongoing battle.
Okay, shifting from cyber battlegrounds to maybe rhetorical ones. Let's look at some political chatter on X. We saw a couple of posts, one from @SpencerHakimian and another from @RPS against Trump, focusing on President Trump and his recurring timeline.
The 2 weeks thing.
Yeah. Seems he often says major decisions or actions will happen in 2 weeks.
It's a documented pattern, yeah. Politico tracked it even during his first term. It's a rhetorical strategy he uses consistently, often without the announced action actually happening in that time frame.
And when his spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, was asked about it,
she mostly deflected, pointing fingers at past administrations rather than really addressing the reliability of that specific 2 weeks promise. The immediate context now, apparently, is a potential decision on military action regarding Iran within 2 weeks.
Interesting. So stepping back, it's really about how that kind of communication affects trust, right? Public trust, international trust.
Definitely. It impacts perceptions of decisiveness and reliability.
Okay, another very different kind of political moment caught fire. This was local, breaking news. Posts from @Krasenstein and @Calto Activism.
The Dodger Stadium incident.
Exactly. I see officials apparently being escorted out of Dodger Stadium by the LAPD. The language in both posts was really strong, but from totally opposite viewpoints.
Right. And this really taps into those ongoing, often intense tensions between local police in sanctuary cities like LA and federal immigration enforcement, ICE.
There have been raids recently.
Yes, and there's even a proposed California bill trying to force officers, including potentially federal ones in some situations, to show their faces for transparency.
So what happened at the stadium? It's symbolic.
Highly symbolic. You have the Dodgers, who've publicly supported immigrant communities. You have ICE, representing federal policy. And then the LAPD seemingly siding with local sentiment. The @Calto Activism post even brought in Ice Cube, joking he's the only ICE welcomed, which really highlights that cultural pushback.
And that post also questioned if LAPD acted because it's, valuable property.
Yeah, raising questions about whether wealth influences how local law handles federal matters. It boils down to this fundamental conflict. Where does local authority end and federal authority begin, especially when it directly impacts communities? It's messy.
Okay, let's lighten things up considerably. Let's talk about some just amazing or quirky human stories that got traction. First, this incredible video from @MattVanswall, drone footage. It showed 150 Amish men in New York.
Oh, the barn move. I saw that.
Right, they moved an entire barn, hundreds of feet, in under 5 minutes, with no cranes, no heavy machines, just manpower.
It's absolutely stunning. Just a raw display of community, cooperation, traditional techniques. Pure coordination.
Speaks volumes about their culture, right?
Yeah.
Self-sufficiency, working together.
Definitely. And it's practical, too. Probably saves a lot of money compared to building new. People compared it to, like, ancient wonders, but it's happening now, driven by community values. Truly remarkable.
Then from communal strength to maybe innate individual talent. Yeah, Pictures Foyer shared this video.
The baby throwing spiral.
Yes. A dad finding out his 1-year-old can throw a perfect football spiral. It's just, how is that even possible?
It's pretty wild. I mean, toddlers are developing motor skills, but that level of coordination and technique, seemingly out of nowhere, it's captivating.
Totally. That makes you think about talent.
For sure. It feeds right into that whole cultural fascination with prodigies, and the endless debate. Is it nature? Nurture? Just a random gift. Fascinating stuff.
Okay, let's jump over to finance. Crypto, specifically. At Saylor, that's Michael Saylor, the big Bitcoin guy. He posted a picture of himself on the Charles Bridge in Prague.
Ah, okay. The setting is interesting. Charles Bridge itself is like this ancient symbol of resilience, endurance.
And Saylor's visit, was there a reason he was there?
Yeah, it lined up with a big Bitcoin conference, BTC Prague 2025. But more broadly, it reflects this real surge in crypto adoption in Europe. Something like 18% of adults own crypto there now, according to a recent ECB survey.
Wow, 18%? That's not niche anymore.
Not at all. It's challenging that old narrative. And studies are even showing these big crypto events can actually boost local economies. So, Saylor in Prague, it's a snapshot of a much bigger trend.
Got it. And finally, a post from a very well-known figure at Elon Musk.
What was this one?
He posted his own drug test result, showing it was negative.
Ah, okay. That's clearly a direct response to those recent articles, right? The New York Times, Wall Street Journal, alleging drug use, specifically ketamine.
Exactly. Pushing back directly.
It's interesting, though, the timing and the substance. The test was dated 12 days after the NYT story broke. And ketamine, well, its detection window in tests like that is often only about 7 to 10 days, maybe a bit longer.
No. The negative test might not fully address the timeline of the original allegations.
It raises questions about its relevance to the specific period the report's focused on, yeah. But Musk's move here, publicly releasing the test, challenging the media, it's part of a bigger pattern we're seeing. High-profile people using their own platforms, using transparency or perceived transparency to try and control the narrative around them.
Wow. Okay. We have covered a lot of ground. That was quite the dive into the X landscape today.
Yeah.
We went from AI's huge potential and maybe its risks
The promises and the perils.
to how vulnerable our digital lives can feel, the complexities of political talk, and then just these unique human moments, from barns to babies to Bitcoin.
So wrapping this all up, what's the takeaway for you listening? I think it really comes down to developing a sharper eye for context, for different angles, and just recognizing how incredibly fast everything moves now. Trends, information, narratives, they shift constantly.
So critical thinking isn't just nice to have, it's essential.
Absolutely essential,
Yeah.
especially when you're swimming in this much information every single day.
Right. So here's something to chew on as you scroll through your own feeds. How do you tell the difference between solid fact and just, sensationalism when things are flying at you this fast? And maybe even more, what role do you play in shaping that overall digital vibe yourself?